She is home. Gillian Gibbon, after serving just over a week in a Sudanese prison, she touched down at a UK airport today. So much greeting, much joy. Her children, John and Jessica, were on hand to greet their mother. She says here, "I wouldn't like to put anyone off going to Sudan," with a big old headline, "She's home." Reasons to be cheerful, Michaela.
Well, I think it's been a really sorry episode, the whole story, and I think it's been manipulated in many ways, in my view, mostly by the Khartoum government. I mean, what we're seeing with the newspapers today is a real focus on the human interest story, and it's her. She seems to be a nice woman. She's come back. She's embracing her kids, and she's been fairly discreet in what she said since she's come back. What you lack in a lot of these newspapers, The Independent is an exception, is an assessment of the context in which this happened and why it is that the Sudanese government has played this game and got so much political capital out of what was a tiny, tiny incident. And I think also a failure to appreciate how the British government, British policy across the world is viewed in somewhere like Khartoum, which would have been a contributing factor. So it's very much turned into a human story with no political analysis.
I always see the British peers there in an image just gone, the ones who have been given the credit for busting Ms. Gibbons out of Khartoum, as it were. Is that what happened? Did we send the right kind of people to go and deal with this, or were they just the icing on a political cake in all of this?
I think probably the British government did send them, but with the understanding that they were not to mention or to actually say that they were representing the government as such. So it was like a Muslim pair to another Muslim pair saying, you know, we apologize, we understand there was some misunderstanding, and we're asking for some level of complaint. So that's the intention. But I think what would have happened is that some level of leverage would have been applied on the Sudanese government, because at the end of the day, Britain gives nearly £200 million a year in aid, and of course, as we know, he who pays the piper calls the tune. So some level of pressure would have been placed on the Sudanese government, and they would have had to comply.
In all of this, though, Raza, were you a little bit fed up to the eye teeth with this story? Did you think, again, much like a Madeleine McCann situation?
I just want to comment to what Aya was saying about how I find it hard to believe that the government sent Baroness Warsi and Lord Ahmed, because when Baroness Warsi was awarded her peership, there were grumblings within the Conservative Party about her getting it, which was verging on the edges of Islamophobia. Lord Ahmed and the Labour Party don't see eye to eye on many issues either, and this was out of their own initiative and due to Lord Ahmed's own good relationships with Sudanese diplomats. But what I found very disturbing and also was the ineffectivity of Louise Ellman, who was the MP for Gillian Gibbons in Liverpool. You know, because of her historic hostility towards Muslim governments and organisations, you know, she wrote a letter to them. But even if she had taken any more steps, she was bound to fail because of how she's, you know, often approached them in the past. But going back to your question about, you know, about this story. I'm saddened by the fact that some bigots who claim to be Muslims took that story and said, oh, you know, over a teddy bear we're going to charge a woman. I mean, first of all, it wasn't the teacher who named it, and even if some people consider it blasphemy, I don't. If they do, it wasn't intentional. So it's important, and it's such a small thing, and if 4-year-old children can understand the need to stand up for their teacher and protect her and say that, you know, she wasn't wrong, then if fully grown men and women can't understand that, then that begs the question, what's going on in the education?
And these supposed protests, I mean, the crowd, if you look at the television coverage, these shots
very tight camera
they were
angles.
on 3 people, and I read that they got 1,000 people out for a demonstration. I could throw a tea party and get 1,000 people. That's not a genuine, spontaneous protest. It's manipulation.
Yeah.
And on that very interesting note about Michaela's invitational skills, we're going to wrap things up slightly here. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. My thanks to our guest, Michaela Wrong, journalist, Io Johnson, a broadcaster with South FM, and Raza Nadim from Impact, that's the Muslim Public Affairs Committee. Thank you for watching. You can catch the repeat of BTH at 23:34 and 3:34 GMT. Please email comments to us at bth@presstv.co.uk. That's bth@presstv.co.uk. Mark is back in the hot seat tomorrow night at the same time. Please tune in then for another edition of Between the Headlines. Good night.